The Tommy Campbell Show. Donald Trump continues to lead the world with record-breaking stupidity, going from a double-speed word salad with broken tongues, false claim-filled teleprompter speech to an Oval Office announcement surrounded by men in white coats. And if you watch it on mute or you caught it playing on a store display, you'd have thought, yes, they're finally here to take him away. I cannot stop laughing at the ridiculousness of this man that continues to push the Sleepy Joe narrative when he looks less with it than Kristi Noem's dog. Look at him bobbing through this marijuana announcement, looking like he got baked for this one. Tell us, Trump, honestly, what's more tiring? Dragging around your ball-skin, mangina neck waddle, the 3 hamburgers and your big boy pull-ups, or the hate and lies swirling around what's left of your mind? Now, this all prompted Gavin Newsom to go savage and post, sleeper in chief, and anyone have the number handy for Adult Protective Services? Anyone? To be fair, this could be applied to pretty much anything Trump says or does.
Could you just turn around for the camera? Does she look like Ivanka? It's the most unbelievable thing. I didn't want to take a chance. I say, is that Ivanka? You look just like Ivanka.
Remember, this is the guy they love because he goes off script. But is going off script to hit on a reporter that reminds you of the daughter you said you wish you could date really a good thing? He's at an event with his third wife right next to him, and his train of thought gets derailed by an audience member that resembles a younger version of his daughter. This is what moves his Cheeto needle. Anyone have the number handy for Adult Protective Services? Subscribe. Trump also announced the Patriot Games, not to be confused with the fantastic Harrison Ford movie. This will be the new athletic competition for teenage athletes from each state, tied to the 250th celebration. Yes, his latest distraction from the Epstein files is a competition that involves a bunch of high school students. Is Matt Gaetz going to be a judge? I guarantee that Trump will only be in attendance for the events that require the least amount of clothes. This had plenty of Hunger Games vibes, prompting these photos. But the ones that really got our attention were in the Vanity Fair article after they published a rare inside look at Trump's second-term White House, built around an extensive interview with his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, a figure who normally operates completely out of view. There has been a lot of focus on these photos because they're brutal, tight, unflattering, no campaign gloss. They look like someone set an iPhone to mugshot mode and just forgot to turn it off. You just know this is the first time Kari Lake has looked at the Trump administration and thought, okay, it's good I didn't get a White House gig, because her magical filter setup would have been left at the door for this photo session. Without Kari's soft focus and Snapchat things going on, she looks like a cross between Steve Bannon and a rotting log with a boycott. Vanity Fair has said this is what power looks like when it's not staged. They didn't Photoshop these, they stood closer. Yes, the Karoline Leavitt photo is next level savage. We've all been calling her Press Barbie, but when you zoom in on a Mattel doll, it doesn't show the connect the dots constellations of fill holes. This isn't Temu, Dollarama, Dollar Tree, or even Poundland Barbie. Yes, I said Poundland. Shout out to my UK viewers. This is the one your weird cousin burnt with a lighter. And I think the Susie Wiles one doesn't get enough love. She went from being under the radar to looking like she stumbled upon Mike Johnson's burner phone in gym sock. This makes me think of the people that were getting their eyebrows done in Thailand in a hut in a market, shaved off and tattooed on the street, and they had a wall of their photos outside that should have been a warning. But a couple cheap cocktails later, and they're getting a permanent cosmetic procedure with an "I've made a huge mistake" photo up outside the brow tent to get more people in to make more mistakes. Stephen Miller without his can of Fox News spray on hair, looking like he's having trouble staying still because this pesky interview is cutting into his family-destroying schedule. The White House even tried to make him look bigger and cooler with this ridiculous post, only for Newsom to counter with this more accurate beauty. JD Vance, with a shadow of himself, the guy that called Trump a Nazi on tape and mocked his voters. He's up against the wall, nothing in his back, cornered, no sense of power, looking like he just had some alone time with that chair, or he's thinking about it for when the shoot's over. And then there's this extreme close-up one. Maybe Erica Kirk will find it hot. I don't know, but it is all kinds of wrong. Dan Scavino got the proper mugshot profile hit job, showing off his Boardwalk Empire hairdo. This thing is so bad it makes me feel good about not having hair. And it's worth noting, Chris Whipple, the journalist behind this piece, isn't walking anything back. He's publicly standing by both the reporting and Christopher Anderson's photographs, saying the images weren't meant to flatter, soften, or sell a brand. They were meant to document power up close. They were intentional. The closeness and editorial were not accidental, and the discomfort is the point. But here's the thing. The photos aren't even the most damaging part. A lot of people scrolling social media are just seeing these images fly by, and they're laughing, dunking, and sharing without realizing that the words attached to them are just as savage, if not more so.
The article published early this morning is a disingenuously framed hit piece on me and the finest president, White House staff, and cabinet in history. Significant context was disregarded, and much of what I and others said about the team and the president was left out of the story. I assume after reading it that this was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team. She goes on after that. You can read the full thing on X, but what happened? What went wrong?
Well, look, I would just echo my boss, Susie Wiles, who is the best chief of staff in our nation's history, working for the greatest president in our nation's history, and that this was, unfortunately, another attempt at fake news by a reporter who was acting disingenuously and really did take the chief's words out of context. But I think most importantly, the bias of omission was ever present throughout this story. The reporter omitted all of the positive things that Susie and our team said about the president and the inner workings of the White House. And as Susie said today, it's deeply unfortunate that happened, but it won't distract us from making America great again.
This was Trump's own chief of staff talking. When someone who almost never speaks publicly suddenly pops up to say, "This makes us look chaotic," it usually means the reporting hit closer to home than intended. And you don't get to say, "They left out the positives," when your top aide volunteered all the negatives. If Susie Wiles wanted the piece to feel better, she could have simply not said the bad stuff. But she did. She gave Chris Whipple 10 months of access, 10 months, and then acted shocked when the recorder didn't magically shut off during the uncomfortable parts. Vanity Fair wasn't hiding the chaos. They just pushed play. In the article, it says, "Trump, she told me, has an alcoholic's personality," a description she uses to explain his impulsiveness, volatility, and the constant need to manage his behavior rather than empower him to lead. The piece makes clear that Wiles' real role isn't just management, it's containment. She and a small inner circle act as buffers, filtering information, limiting access, and shaping what reaches Trump in order to prevent public blow-ups. And based on all the public blow-ups we see, she's not doing a great job. Or is she? Has she kept the lid on the diaper bin more than we know or not? Russ Vought, the architect of Project 2025 and head of the Office of Management and Budget, was described by Wiles as a right-wing absolute zealot. On Elon Musk, Wiles was even more candid. She described him as something like a jacked-up Nosferatu, saying he's an avowed ketamine user and he sleeps in a sleeping bag in the executive office building during the daytime. And he's an odd duck, as I think geniuses are. No, they don't have to be like that. Wiles opens up about JD Vance's conversion from a never-Trumper to a MAGA loyalist and adds that the vice president has been a conspiracy theorist for a decade. This White House isn't structured to help Trump lead, it's structured to manage Trump.
We do expect that number to continue to decline as President Trump's energy policies continue to kick in. And he made up the slogan, "Drill, baby, drill." And that's what our Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, has been focused on since day one.
Drill, baby, drill. Is that what you say when you're at the clinic, getting another round of hyaluronic acid pumped into your lips? Then they call it HA because when people see the results, they go, "Ha! Those rapid-fire lips do spew a lot of hot garbage, though." The term drill, baby, drill didn't come from Trump. It was originally coined by Michael Steele at the 2008 RNC and later popularized by Sarah Palin decades before Trump ever used it. Now, workers have begun adding Donald Trump's name to the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C., after a board of Trump-appointed trustees, now chaired by Trump himself, voted to rename it the Donald J. Trump and the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. The White House put this out, and Newsom was quick to post the Trump Epstein Center, with the doodle that Trump did, that he said he never did. But he definitely did. Now, the Kennedy Center wasn't named after JFK because he liked his name on buildings. It was named after him because he genuinely believed the arts mattered to democracy, to culture, to history, to how a country understands itself. Ivor came out swinging, reminding people that JFK and Jackie Kennedy defended artists. They amplified culture and treated creativity as something essential, not decorative. And she said it plainly. This isn't dignified. This isn't funny. It's weird. It's obsessive, and it's beneath the office. And she's right. Trump does not stand up for artists. He tried to get SNL and Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air. He rants about the Oscars, tweeted, "I hate Taylor Swift" in all caps. He created a fake university, struggles with basic language, constantly tries to rewrite history, and treats culture like an enemy combatant. The only artists he actually supports are straight-to-video Kevin Sorbo, Scott Baio doing TikToks from his car, fellow draft dodger Ted Nugent, and Kid Rock, whose biggest hits are all samples. And Trump's idea of culture is having French fries with a Big Mac while binge-watching Fox News and doom-scrolling Ivanka's Instagram for pool pics. Anyone have the number handy for Adult Protective Services? We had a lot of fun with my take on these. I'm huge. Trump condom packs. Thousands voted in the poll. I was overwhelmed. You guys are hilarious. And there were heaps of comments requesting more. Here are some of my favorites that you made that I came across. Minimum. Fungus flop. The Angry Inch. Stephen Miller Disguise Kit. I've fallen and I can't get up. Or I've fallen and I can't get up. Bubba, please. That's one of my favorites. And the oh so simple 12-pack. You can see them all lined up in there. As if the Presidential Walk of Fame couldn't get any less classy, Trump added bronze plaques beneath the portraits, and according to Karoline Leavitt, the plaques are eloquently written descriptions of each president and the legacy they left behind. As a student of history, many were written directly by the president himself. Bill Clinton's plaque leans hard into scandal and impeachment and even mentions Hillary losing to Donald Trump in the election. Barack Hussein Obama, yes, the full name, is portrayed as divisive and damaging to the country. The emphasis isn't on accomplishments or context, just resentment. And Joe Biden's plaque, he's labeled Sleepy Joe, called the worst president in history, and blamed for national decline. So when Gavin Newsom saw Trump literally engraving his vendettas into the walls of the White House, he went ahead and posted his version of Trump's. Donald is finished. He is no longer hot. First the hands, so tiny, and now me, Gavin C. Newsom, have taken away his step. Many are saying he can't even do the big stairs on Air Force One anymore. Uses the little baby stairs now. Sad. All the television cameras are on me, America's favorite governor. Even the low ratings Laura Ingraham edit the tapes. Can't stop talking about my beautiful maps. You're welcome for Liberation Day, America. Donnie J missed the deadline. Whoops. And now I run the show. Thank you for your attention to this matter, GCN. I make this show on my own. If you can afford it, drop me a PayPal tip or a super thanks, become a member, and check out my merch.
Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago.
1776 Warrior Dividend. Okay, it sounds super patriotic, like it shows up in the mail with fireworks, bald eagles, and a Bruce Springsteen guitar riff. Okay, obviously not the boss. Can't afford him. You'd probably get Laura Trump singing over a Ted Nugent karaoke track. This is cash Congress already approved to help service members afford housing, money that already existed. This is not from tariffs, okay? And Trump just slapped a Timu 1776 label on it and announced it like he's going to be personally Venmoing the troops. Troops are not getting extra money. And to be clear, I'm all for all troops getting extra money. They're getting money that was already earmarked for housing, rebranded, and handed back to them so Trump can say he paid them and pretend that the tariffs are working out. Again, you pay the tariffs, okay? You pay the tariffs. Now, here's the real kicker. For some service members, this could actually turn non-taxable housing support into taxable income, meaning they don't gain anything and in some cases could lose money. You another Hollywood comedian loser. I love how I go from being a nobody that isn't funny to a Hollywood comedian loser. Make up your mind, folks. Did I have speaking parts in The Dark Knight, Edge of Tomorrow, Green Zone, Doctor Who, Supernatural, Arrow, and others? Have I performed around the world with heaps of shows for the troops and millions of streams on Spotify, or not? MAGA tears. The Trump derangement syndrome has a firm grip on this one. Whatever helps you to feel better, bruv. I always feel like these people are talking to themselves. The true Trump derangement syndrome is buying into the fake Bone Spurs diaper doofus that has spent his life bankrupting businesses, partying with Epstein's teens before using a presidency as a personal piggy bank while destroying America's relationship with the world with legal tariffs and radical ICE deployment that has sent tourism into a death spiral. MAGA tears. This is the one your weird cousin burnt with a lighter, with his third wife right next to him, and his train of thought gets delayed. Power looking like he just had some alone time with that chair. I think the Susie Wiles one doesn't get enough love. She went from being under the radar to looking like she stumbled upon Mike Johnson's burner phone in the gym sock. Does he keep the phone in the gym sock and has to crunch it out? This is so wrong.
The Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube, and I hope you subscribe.